I just saw Sinners and wow. Wow. Hi my loves, it's your Related Girl from around the way, where we have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I'm coming to you all with some commentary. I don't want to call it a review. I want to just call it a chat and chew. Baby, go get you a snack, a drink, or something, and let's get into this very, very interesting and peculiar and thought-provoking film that is Sinners. Before I hop into my commentary though, sister, I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button. It helps me so very much. And I'm asking really nicely. I feel like the way that I'm asking you right now, I feel like you might as well, okay? Y'all, wow. So just for a little bit of context, I went to go see it last night. 7:50 show, sold out. I literally had an end row seat. You know, it was only me. It was a solo date. And it was filled. It was completely filled, even the weekend after its release. And incredible, man. I really don't even know where to start. So I want to just say that Ryan Coogler is so relatable with him being from Oakland, with him having a stutter, with him understanding the complexities of Black culture, influences of music, spirituality, and just good cinematography. I mean, bravo. I mean, can we really give this man the things that he deserves? Surely there are some critiques about his works, this whole white savior and, you know, the swirl agenda and everything like this. I don't think I'm going to get into that too much. And I was thinking about like maybe not giving any spoilers, but this is honestly, like, if you haven't watched it yet, this is just called Put a Pin in It, Come Back to Me. Put a pin in it and come back to me, because I want to talk about some themes. And I'll let you know, you can watch it now. I'll let you know when I'm about to get into it. So I want to just start off with some of the things that I love, or just some of the things that I feel. This is a film, and I'm not even saying movie. This is a film that sticks with you, right? You walk away from the theater feeling like a little piece of whatever you just witnessed is within you, that you have that now. And that is what art is supposed to do, right? That is what art is supposed to make you feel. It's supposed to make you, it's supposed to conjure up an emotion and imitate life, so to speak. And even if it's life that you never knew or witnessed or understood completely all the way. I love how he was able to go back into the 1930s and really humanize the characters that were in the Mississippi Delta, or just in the South at the time in general, right? There were so many themes that he talked about. We were able to see the oppression without it giving, like, you know, race corn. You get what I'm saying? Like it was not as traumatic as other films that we have seen when there's rooted in 1930 Mississippi Delta. Okay, we starting off with okay, like it make my teeth white, as Paul Mooney would say. But you know that the oppression is there. However, you still feel the sense of community. You see the interactions of the day. Like, I love the opening scene. So this, what I loved about this, let me back it up. The opening scene was also the closing scene. Perfect, brilliant, storytelling at its finest. But in the beginning, the main character, he's, you know, just moving and grooving as a young man, you know, doing his work so that way he can go ahead and party for the weekend. Child, that's a lot of us doing that today. It's a lot of us, you know, getting how we live during the week so we can have us a little mimosa, a little day brunch with us and our homegirls. Like, it's so relatable. And to see the aspirations and the things that we wanted to do even then still kind of goes with us today. It makes the connection of what our ancestors went through. A lot of people feel like we are not our ancestors, but truly, like, anytime that you think about Black people being shown in that light, they're always so subjugated. They're always down bad, down right, and this, and the third. But just to see how people were living and thriving and moving, even though in a dilapidated home and a shack and this, and the third, it was what it was. And it's a nod to Black people make the best of whatever it is that we have, right? Like, even though the home was small, the church was small, you felt the community. You felt that draw, you felt that pull. And I'll pause that. I want to get into Michael B. Jordan. I mean, wow. You know, I didn't watch any of the Creed installment franchises, whatever, because, you know, my own personal things with him and his whatever. But honestly, like, this is the first time that I've seen a film when it was a person that was playing two characters, but you actually felt the difference in the two roles. You know what I'm saying? This isn't giving Big Mama House, Martin Lawrence in a fat suit, and they can only go but so close to each other. It really felt, the energies of the different characters almost really felt believable. And I thought that would be a challenge in the film. I thought maybe it would come off cheesy because you don't really see that translate well all the time. Again, Martin Lawrence in the fat suit as opposed to, you know, him just acting like this is Big Mama. Brilliant, good. Michael B. Jordan is an undeniable act. He is. He is undeniable, truly, you know. And that just is what it is. So I want to talk a little bit about the themes that stood out to me the most, because although this is considered a horror film, which I love that, because not a lot of movies that are headed by Black leads and Black producers, directors, and all of these things get made. You know, I feel like the last movie, Black horror movie film outside of Jordan Peele, is Vampire in Brooklyn. I talk about that movie all the time. It's almost like a joke, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we as Black people like and enjoy horror films. We don't see enough of them. And I'm not talking about Scary Movie, although that film is successful in its own right. I'm talking about real Black horror. That is a genre of film that we don't see enough representation in. And so the uptick of that is just doing something for the inner child in me. I am an October baby. I've always loved Halloween spooky shit. I want to see it. I want to know it. I want to be scared, a jump scare, not that old demonic shit that they be doing nowadays, girl. But the back in the day, horror films, like, yes, Black people like horror films. Black people like horror films. Make them. You feel what I'm saying? And so for it to be a horror film, but the horror in the film isn't necessarily the vampirism, the vampires in the movie. I like how for me anyway, my interpretation of the real horror in the film is the like insidious, sinister, just inherent evil that comes from these White Walkers. I mean, somebody has to say it. That is truly eerie and an indescribable evil, right? And the fact that the first vampire that we see is a white man or Irish man or whatever, it's just really true. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're coming in, and what's so interesting, I like how they in this film, they also like followed the vampire rules. And what I mean by that is vampires have to be invited into your space. You get what I'm saying? And so often Black people want to, oh, you invited to the cookout. Hello? Is anybody home? Oh, you know how to do the cha-cha. It's like, oh, you invited to the cookout, and we invite them into our spaces for them to demolish, destroy, and a whole bunch of other things. Now, I don't want to make this all about race because I know that was not the intent, although perhaps, you know what I mean? And I'm curious, I haven't really watched anybody else's reviews or anybody talking about it. This is just me chatting up with my homegirls. I know how I do. But that is a real thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, vampires have to be invited into the spaces. And I believe that Black people's need for validation and need for integration always allows us to be in a position to where we want them to be in proximity to us, because somehow it makes us stand upright and somehow it makes us more valid. That is from the vampire standpoint and like a socio-economical, like political oppression standpoint. I mean, hello, that is so good. And then I'm sitting here thinking about even for him to have the Choctaw Native American or Indian people coming into the in the first scene, trying to like let them know, like, hey, you know, we got that ain't what it look like. I'm trying to tell y'all. You get what I'm saying? Like, to have the representation of Native American and indigenous people, because truly their spiritualism and folklore and everything like this is also woven into the fabric of Black American culture, especially when you talk about hoodoo, especially when you talk about practical magic, especially when you talk about just how we have reverence to certain aspects of natural elements of life. We're more aligned with that than we are white culture, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? So to have them represented in that moment, I think that's just a nod to the huge and bigger picture of what it was to be in the Delta during those time frames, because there was a presence there. I mean, you know, and not in no downtrodden, beaten down, oh, we just some lowly Indians. Them niggas, they was riding. They look good, sharp, clean. Now, this ain't what it looked like. And you know what else they did? They got the fuck on. He said, listen, it's time to go back. You know what I'm saying? It's time to... I saw somebody on TikTok say it was so nice to hear their language too, because representation matters. I think Ryan Coogler's incorporation of that is just true to the story, true to the history, and yeah, include them. You get what I'm saying? I love to see indigenous history and indigenous representation, because y'all, we on their land still today. You know what I'm saying? That's important. And so naturally they invited him into the home, you know, under the guise of protecting him from this engine. That's how they were saying in the accent, and got tore down. Now, another piece that I thought was really interesting is they used manipulation as a tool and a tactic. I'm talking about the vampires, to persuade or try to persuade the people who were not turned at that point to come on over to the other side. And to be honest with you, there was a point in the movie where he's like, they was gonna kill you anyway. You ain't shit. You ain't got shit. You ain't never gonna be shit. Look at you. You're sitting on the couch. You might as well go down to, you know what I'm saying, giving it up like that. And to a lot of people who I would imagine on that time frame, that would have sounded very, 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 very convincing and promising. You know, because you know what? Hell yeah. These motherfuckers is tearing us up. We might as well. And there are Black people to this day that still kind of hold on to that, and they politic in that way, and they date in that way. They spend their money in that way, right? Because they are persuaded and manipulated by this thing that's eventually going to devour you and your soul. Nigga, like, hello? That is so good. I gotta make another video because I gotta go. I'm getting phone calls and everything. But girl, like this film is just amazing. There are deeper themes that I want to get into as it relates to you know, race. And they had the girl Mary, who, you know, is interesting because they said she was a white girl. So there's some white girl walking to you, and Smoke was like, are you sure it's a white girl? He was like, yeah, I'm sure she a white girl. And then he got a little closer to her, and he said, oh, I don't think she just white. That's very interesting because she said her daddy was half Black, and so that would make her something like an octoroon or a quadroon. And that's a offensive term, y'all. Don't be walking around here talking about that. A mulatto is obviously a half-breed, and then after mulatto, then there's maybe quadroon, and then there's an octoroon, which is like 1/8. It goes into and feeds into the one-drop rule in eugenics and this whole thing that this racial system of oppression has put in place, especially during those times. But she's white passing, and the thing about white passing is not only that you have access to white communities and white accesses, you then also are entitled to, or in her Mary's case, feels entitled to, proximity and relationship to Black people. And so there was a point in the movie when obviously the vampires were trying to convince her to, you know, convince them to give them an invite. They weren't going for it because naturally, intuitively, we feel like, oh, hell no. And they kind of defended her. No, she's family. Interestingly enough, she was the first one to go out and to speak with these vampires, and she goes back and she's now turned, and she comes and she's still invited into the space. I think that that's because there is a mistrust when it comes to people who don't always fully align with the Black community because of the duality of their race. And it doesn't mean that because you have multiple races or you're multicultural, it doesn't mean that you have to choose, but for damn sure in situations there has to be a line in the sand. You can't be halfway on both things. I'm sorry, I have to say that. You get what I'm saying? You can't say, well, white oppression is right, but I'm also oppressed by this system because it does not work like that. You have to pick a side. And I think that there's a need for external validation, but then there's also an inherent spirit in us that understands, wants, fosters, and loves community. I believe that, they like to say that Black people nowadays are pacifists. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that some people are inherently good and some people are inherently evil. Some people are inherently community-based and community-centered and others are not. And so when you have someone who has infiltrated that natural piece of your heart, what happens to your family? What happens to your community? What happens to your self-esteem? What happens to your juke joint? Wow. I didn't even get into the symbolism and the spirituality and the nods and homage to the Hoodoo practices, to the African traditional religions. I mean, there were so many beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scenes. Wow. That's all I can say, y'all. That's all I'm going to say for now. Go see the film. I said this is going to be some spoilers in here, but I just wanted to come to y'all. Like, the movie is not overhyped. If you're into these kind of things, like, you're going to walk away and, oh my God, there's this beautiful scene. I'm not even going to talk about it. I gave away these are light spoilers. There's a scene in this film that I don't feel I've ever seen anything quite like it in my life. And I consider myself a movie buff, if you will. I enjoy movies. I enjoy dialogue, conversation, all of these different things. And there is a piece of this movie that I walked away from feeling like, you know what? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We all needed to see that. We all needed to feel that. And that's what I mean. You're going to walk away with something, feeling differently about yourself. I ain't going to hold you. I ain't even going to hold you. And I know, we need to see it. We need to see it. It's one thing to hear about a revolt, right? Because everybody think that, slaves were just out there getting beat down, this, that, and that. And I was looking at some statistics, Mississippi historically has always been a state that has so many Black people as opposed to white people. This is why mind control is so real, y'all. Get control of your mind. Get free, y'all. Imagine being in a state where you are the majority. You are the majority, right? And your oppressors are the minority. That is systemic, and that is mind control. Well, anyway, there's a scene in the film where it's something like you've never seen before. And again, going back to the slave thing, we talk about slaves who were revolting, and there were things, and there were people who were fighting back, but we never see it. We never visually see it. And this is how the mind works. It's so important for us to not only hear those things, but see those things, right? Because if we can see it in our mind, it goes into our subconscious, and we know that this is a real thing, and there was real representation of motherfuckers who wasn't going for that shit. I ain't going for it. And so to actually see it on film, that is so healing. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even exaggerating. That is healing. He is doing healing work to our minds, to our epigenetics, bitch. Recoded, rewired. Clock it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it later. I gotta go, y'all. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light. Go see the movie. Go see it. Peace and love, y'all.